When you recruit as well as Georgia has these past couple of cycles, you tend to get a couple of freaks. Guys who are just different than from even other college football players and have just gifts that you can't really teach and they just happen to be born with. Major Burns, an incoming safety in Georgia's 2020 recruiting class, took notice of one of those players when speaking to DJ Shockley. We got a big linebacker. I think his name is Adam. He's like 6'6" and runs a 4.3. I had never seen anything like that in high school. So we're here and I saw that and it really opened my eyes. I was like, all right, that's really nice to have next to me. The Adam Burns is referring to is outside linebacker Adam Anderson. Anderson's listed as an outside linebacker, but because of his athletic gifts and his incredible length and size and speed, Georgia's able to move him around the formation. He can play at inside linebacker, he can drop back into coverage. He can do just about anything you would ask a defender to do. The reason Anderson qualifies as a freak is that in addition to his foot speed, he's got incredible wingspan, length. Something you'd see on an NBA basketball court. But his long go-go gadget arms allow him to knock down passes at the line of scrimmage and help him chase down opposing quarterbacks. While Anderson might not yet be an every down player for Georgia, his athletic gifts allow him to come on the field and contribute to Georgia in a number of ways. Burns' comments about Anderson got us to thinking, who are some of the other freaks on this Georgia team? On the defensive side of the ball, defensive lineman Trayvon Walker really jumps out. He's big enough to play defensive tackle at 6'5", 290 pounds, and he's athletic enough to provide a pass rush off the edge. I think back to the Auburn game. On the Tigers' final offensive play of the game, Walker was lined up in a defensive tackle position. But using his size and speed, he was able to loop all the way around outside the tackle and bring down Auburn quarterback Bo Nix for a game-ending sack. Georgia just doesn't have many guys like that, and there aren't that many in all of college football. There's another aspect of why Walker qualifies as a freak. It's the fact that they're using someone of his size on the kickoff team. It's very rare for a defensive lineman to be on a special teams unit like that, especially one that involves that much running. But Walker is that much of an athletic specimen that he's able to be a real contributor on Georgia's kickoff unit. If teams are going to start putting more and more guys like Walker on their kickoff teams, maybe it's not such a bad idea to potentially abolish the kickoff over safety concerns. On the offensive side of the ball, Georgia, of course, has some guys that can be real mismatch problems for opposing defenses. The first guy that really comes to mind is George Pickens. Pickens isn't the tallest receiver in the world, and he certainly isn't the fastest. But I think what qualifies him as a freak is his ability to contort and control his body when he's in the air. It's sort of like how Spider-Man is able to swing from building to building and always sort of maintain his sense of balance. That's what Pickens is like when he jumps up into the air and catches a football. Yes, there are some memorable catches and moments from him this past season, but the thing that always stands out to me is how he's able to just leap into the air, pluck it down the football, and somehow get his feet in bounds for a touchdown. He did this against Missouri, he did this against Texas A&M, and he did it again against Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. In 2020, Georgia is going to be counting on Pickens to display more of these freak catches, much like Jonah Jameson is hoping Peter Parker is able to get him more pictures of Spider-Man. Georgia's also bringing in another pass catcher who has some freakish athletic traits to him. That's Darnell Washington. The simplest reason I can explain why Washington is a freak is that it's like watching what LeBron James would be doing if he were to play football. That's kind of what Washington is with his size. LeBron James is listed at 6'9", 250 pounds. Darnell Washington comes in at 6'7", 260 pounds. Now, LeBron James is obviously one of the best basketball players of all time, and comparing Washington to James just based on his physical size isn't exactly fair to the freshman tight end. But Georgia, if they're willing to get creative next year, I think can find ways to make Washington a real mismatch and nightmare for opposing defenses. We saw at the Under Armour All-American games that teams were willing to split him out wide and match him up against smaller DBs. It sort of reminded you of how Rob Gronkowski used to do it with the New England Patriots. I'm not saying Washington is going to be the next Rob Gronkowski, but if Georgia wants to get creative with him next year, I think he could really help out in the red zone area, just given his absolute mammoth size. And as for our fifth and final freak, let's give it to one of the big guys up front, or more specifically, perhaps the biggest guy in Ben Cleveland. If Arnold Schwarzenegger ever decided he wanted to stop playing the Terminator, the first call should go to Cleveland. He's 6'6", 335 pounds, has tree trunks for legs, and a kitchen countertop for a chest. He's a huge player, and Georgia got a real benefit in him coming back for his redshirt senior season. He'll be a key cog on the offensive line next year and someone who's still going to help pave the way for running backs like Zamir White and Kendall Milton. They simply don't make human beings as big as Ben Cleveland. I can't help but think how much it must suck for him to get on a commercial airline, or how much it must stink for a defensive lineman when Cleveland gets his hands on him and drives them into the earth. Georgia's obviously one of the most talented teams in the country, and with guys like Anderson, Walker, Pickens, Washington, and Cleveland, it's also one of the freakiest teams in the country in terms of size and speed. feel like if a lot of us got to see these guys up close and personal like Burns did, we all pretty much have the same reaction. It's nice to have guys like that on the Georgia football team. For Dog Nation, I'm Connor Riley.
For more Dog Nation videos, check out youtube.com/DogNation.